In over 100 million chess games, White chose to play bishop b5 here, aiming for the Ruy Lopez opening, making it one of the most common chess openings of all. Therefore, you gotta know how to counter that, and today I'll have to share with you a deadly opening trap which brings you a winning position in the main line in just about 5 moves. I understand that it sounds clickbaity, but let me show you what it is, and you'll see that it's a good variation regardless of whether your opponent falls for the trap or not. The Ruy Lopez comes out of the first pawn move, pawn to e4, and as you respond symmetrically, White plays knight f3 attacking this pawn, you defend it with knight to c6, and here comes bishop b5, putting more pressure to your knight and therefore your center. Now you respond with knight to f6, attacking this pawn on e4, and if White does not defend it, you can actually just capture it. Therefore, one of the main moves by White here is pawn to d3, and here we play a tricky move, knight to e7. At first it looks completely awkward, moving the knight backwards, locking your pieces out, looks like just a very ridiculous move, just hoping for some sort of a trick. But in fact, it's a very fine move for Black to play, and there is a nice positional idea behind it. You want to reposition the knight to g6, which is a common maneuver. From here, in the middle game, it'll support your kingside attack in the future. You can kick off this bishop by going c6, so overall it's a nice positional move, even though temporarily it looks tricky. But of course, the most common move by White here is knight takes c5, because it looks like you just left this pawn undefended, and that is a deadly mistake, because after that you continue with pawn to c6, attacking the bishop, and as the bishop goes somewhere, it doesn't matter, you follow up with queen a5, attacking way too many pieces for White to defend at once. Therefore, you're going to grab at least one of them on the next move, getting a winning material advantage. That's how you're going to win most of the time, but when you're dealing with a very advanced level opponent, some of them may come up with a very tricky move, knight to c4, and you gotta be very careful, because if you just grab the bishop, guess what, you're ending up with this smothered checkmate knight to d6. Of course you don't want that, but it's very easy to stop. You just shouldn't grab the bishop immediately. You first cover the square by going d6 yourself, so that the knight can no longer go there, because it's defended by your queen. Which leaves White with the same problem, their bishop is still hanging, and as they move it back, it fails to b5. This time you're attacking two pieces this way with a pawn, so anyway you're going to win some material, getting a winning material advantage. What if your opponent does not fall for the trap and does not grab this pawn on e5? Well, let me show you. Let's say they play pawn to c3 or any other move. Then you can reposition your knight to g6, which was also the idea behind this move, knight to e7, to relocate it to a nice square on g6, and from here it does defend this pawn, therefore it's no longer hanging. After they castle, you can then play pawn to c6, gaining in tempo, attacking this bishop, and as it goes back, I recommend that you just develop your kingside, getting ready to castle. Notice that we don't move the d pawn yet, as we aren't sure whether we want to move it to d6 or to d5 in the future, so I want to keep it flexible so that you can choose the best move depending on the current situation in the future. White often goes rook e1, and after we castle, the main move by White here is d4, trying to grab the center, because if not, they really have no attack whatsoever, and your position is completely good, completely safe. So the only way for them to try to challenge you is going d4, trying to grab the center. But then, there is a powerful counter-strike, which you gotta remember, is you counter-strike with the very same move, pawn to d5, and actually that gives you a really nice position. Now if they take here, you take their pawn, and your position is completely good, you have this strong knight, you put some pressure to this pawn on e5, you can go bishop g4 in the future, your position is just good. So let's take it back, and what's also nice is the common move pawn to d5 turns out to be wrong by White. Initially it seems like they're outsmarting you, that they're gonna win the other pawn on the next move, but you toss in this in between move pawn to e4, attacking the knight. And as the knight goes, only then you recapture your pawn. Thanks to this little tactical operation, you created this strong pawn barrier in the center of the board, which gives you space advantage and a good position. Moreover, in this position, most of your opponents will take on g6 because they notice this pressure, which is yet another error by White, because now, instead of a classical recapture towards the center, you've got something a lot more aggressive, which works well in the given position. This pawn f takes g6, which allows your rook to be involved into the attack, and in fact your attack is so strong that your position might be just winning right here, because notice that all of the White's pieces are on the queen side, and there is nobody around this king. It's completely lonely, and you can rush into the attack quickly. I'll show you one example. White played bishop b3 or any other move, Black went knight to g4, already hitting this pawn on f2 twice. After White played bishop e3, Black continued with bishop g5, bishop d6 in some lines could also be an option, attacking the other pawn, but they played bishop g6, putting more pressure to all these squares. White decided to ignore it and just go knight to d2, but then after an exchange on e3, Black could throw the queen out, threatening queen takes h2, maybe queen f2 in some lines, and white is defenseless. White took this pawn on d5 with check. I mean, you don't have to memorize these variations, of course. I'm just showing you overall the plan, how your attack can roll out in this variation. And you see that these moves are pretty simple. You just move your pieces forward, trying to checkmate this king. So king goes to h8, queen takes h2, checkmate is still coming, white played h3, knight f2, attacking the queen, possibly this pawn, queen went to e2, and black finished it off in style with bishop to g4. Attacking the queen, black is also ready to sack on h3, any of their minor pieces if necessary, and if white captures on g4, here comes boom, queen to h1, checkmate. And here comes a puzzle of the day, a little quiz for you. It is black to play and win. Please think about it, and if you can't find the winning move for black, write it down in the comments below. A lot of players find the Ruy Lopez to be advanced, tricky, difficult to understand, and that's why I recorded the video covering all the fundamental plans, ideas, explaining everything in simple terms. The video got over 500,000 views, so people do find it useful, and hopefully you can benefit from this as well. You can click the link right here and watch it next. Or if you want to improve your positional understanding overall, you may check out this free masterclass by clicking the link over there. Thank you for watching. Take care.